Hey, it's Esmeralda, and I am here with you in my office. And we're going to talk about cleansing crystals today. So, the first thing that I want to say is that, contrary to popular belief, you don't have to cleanse your crystals every single time you use them. You don't even have to cleanse them every full moon, although that's great. That's one of the two ways I'm going to talk about as far as the safest ways to cleanse your crystals. You do definitely want to cleanse them whenever you purchase them, and you want to cleanse them every so often. Crystals are super resilient. They're much more resilient than we are in our own energetic spaces, and so they can put up with quite a bit. So you don't have to be, oh my God, I totally forgot to put my crystals out on Thursday or whatever happens to be a full moon or a new moon. So don't get too caught up in that whole, I need to get my crystals out. I need to cleanse or charge my crystals. The important thing, like I said, is that whenever you do purchase a new crystal, that you cleanse them then. There's a lot of things that people share online that isn't safe for your crystals. I see people say to put them in water, running water, to bury them in sand or bury them back in the earth, put them in salt and all kinds of things. But many of those are, I wouldn't say that they're like detrimental to your crystal, but they're also not going to be helping your crystal either. A lot of them, I've done water with crystals that shouldn't have really had any effect with water, and I've had color change when I have used water. I've had textures start changing when I've immersed them in water, and these are like citrines and amethysts and that shouldn't that should be hard enough to sustain those, but over periods of time, if you do use that as a method, it can change your crystal. So I just suggest not doing anything that's going to scratch it or that's going to alter it in any way, shape, or form. And really the safest thing to do, I've even heard sunlight too, and if you're working with quartz, it's like a magnifying glass burning that ant. Like, just don't do it, because you may not set a fire, but I wouldn't try it either. So the sun one, don't do that either. There's two really, really safe ways for you to cleanse your crystals. And one of them is to set them out in the full moon or even a new moon. And that can help to cleanse your crystals. And there's nothing that you have to do, nothing special or anything that you need to do. You just need to carry them out. You can set them on the windowsill and allow the indirect light to come on. Of course, if you have a backyard or someplace that is safe, you can set them outside to where they are fully immersed in that light, and that is awesome. I do that every so often. With maybe like super moons and things like that, I like to set them out because I feel like the energy is just different. But if you are not a crystal healer and you are not healing people on a regular basis with your crystals, and they're only really in your own energy field, you don't have to worry about them as far as like cleansing them all the time. That being said, another way that you can cleanse your crystals, and I just put them in an abalone shell just so that I can show you easier, is to use sage and to waft the smoke over your crystals. And that is actually the easiest and the safest way, aside from setting them out in the moon. And that's what I'm going to show you in like the rest of this video. So usually I'll be in like my sacred space or something, and I'll have it there. I have I don't necessarily keep like an altar space. I kind of have many places all over the house where I kind of keep crystals and keep things. So really this could happen anywhere. It might be wherever you've chosen to place your crystals, or it could be in your sacred space. There's no rhyme or reason really to this. So I just placed a whole bunch of them inside this abalone shell. You don't have to, you could do it singly. The thing I like about both the moon method and the sage method is that you can do more than one crystal at once, or you could do multiple crystals at the same time. And so you'll get your crystals, your sage wand. I like to use a feather to kind of get the smoke going, and I use one of these lighters. So I'm gonna go ahead and light this and then show you what to look for whenever you are I like to get it going. I like to get it going so that the smoke doesn't really, because sometimes it burns out kind of quick. Okay, so there is the smoke. It's going, right? I kind of try to get it going. I'll do a little bit with a fan. And so you'll have your crystals, you have your sage wand, and I like to go around it a few times. And usually, see, sometimes I should have got it going more. Let me go ahead and relight that up a little bit more so that you can see the smoke better. I mean, it is smoking, but it's like you can't really see it. Okay, so you have your smoke. It's usually going kind of like in one direction or the other. And when it comes to cleansing your crystals, usually the smoke will start going off in one direction. And these ones are probably cleansed. For me, it usually goes to the right, like over this way. And then once the crystals are cleansed, the smoke will switch direction and it'll start going in the other way. So for me, it starts off in the right. And see, it went out again. I don't know why it's going out. It was already starting to go to the left though. These crystals have been cleansed before and I haven't really used them. But I do want to make sure that you can see what I'm talking about as far as the direction. So the direction, it's starting to go off this way to the right. With the crystals on here, let's see if it's gonna start going. All right, so you can do it along the bottom, depending if you're doing an abalone shell or not. Along the top, and you're just gonna wait for it to start going in the other direction. You can barely see it, but it is starting to go off a little bit. But this keeps going out. I don't know why. But anyway, that is the general idea, right? So you'll have your stones. The smoke will be going in one direction, usually to the right. Once it starts going to the left of your crystals, and you can hold it kind of under, you can kind of waft it over top, and then just kind of like hold it there for a second to see which direction the smoke is going. Once it's going all the way to the opposite direction, usually the left, then you know that your crystals are cleansed. And you can, stop. Now you can do a whole kind of, make it almost ritualistic. You can light a candle and do this. You can kind of set an intention that these crystals are only to be used for, the highest good or for whatever. You can set intentions. I like doing that sometimes. You can make it into, whatever you want to do for this. It can be more than just, I'm going to cleanse my crystals. It can be an event if you want to make it that way. I think that's all. I'm trying to think, but I think that is all that I have as far as cleansing your crystals. So hopefully that was insightful. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye, guys.